There's a long ongoing debate in the writing community about whether or not writer's block exists. So let me just start by saying we're not going to touch that. What I am going to talk about today, though, is being stuck. Because many of us get into spots in our writing where we cannot progress for one reason or another, and we feel stuck in that situation. So I want to talk about some of the major causes of being stuck today and give you some ideas about how to get out of it consistently. Because again, my goal is not just to say, did you try this? Did you try this? Did you try this? It's to say there are some reasons why we get stuck consistently. Some of us get stuck all the time. So the more you can understand about why you're getting stuck, the better chance you have at having more control over it, at getting more productive over time, and then being consistently more productive. Maybe not as productive as you want to be, that's a separate problem, but let's at least talk about some of the major causes of being stuck and how we get out of it. My name is Becca Simon. I'm an author coach, and I specialize in answering questions that authors ask about why things are happening in their career. What I used to have as a tagline on this podcast is anyone can tell you what works for them, and they can say it might not work for you, but they can't tell you why. I can tell you why, because I get obsessed about understanding why things happen and then figuring out what can we do to either get you out of that space or give you more control back and have more autonomy or get what you want, etc. Like, how do we make that happen is always related to why is it happening. So we're going to cover some of the major reasons why authors get stuck in this episode. And spoiler alert, you can read the book if you would like to. I also have a tool that we made with this book, and I'm going to provide some links in the show notes if you want more information. But I'm going to cover the 6 main reasons. And then if you want more information, go find it. If not, you may be able to get unstuck just by listening to this episode only. So let's hope and shoot for that. And then if you want more information, come and find it. But let's start with the most common reason why writers get stuck. The number one reason is that they lack clarity about what's happening next in the story. And there is a misunderstanding about how plotting can solve this problem for people. So there's this misunderstanding that if you plot it, you will write it. And therefore, if you plot something, that will help you never be stuck. So there's a segment of writers that works for, about 40% of people. But for the 60% of people who will not write what they plot, no matter how well they understand plotting, no matter how well they understand structure, the way that their brain works is just not wired to write what they plot for whatever reason. So for that 60% of people, they are not going to be able to solve this problem by deciding ahead what they're going to write. For the 40% of you who are able to do that, great. Then your way of not getting stuck consistently, about clarity at least, is to plot. But when you're not that person, how do you get unstuck when the problem is clarity? Here are some options. The first thing we have to know for sure about this particular reason is that the story does exist somewhere for you in your head. And intuitively, you understand what's supposed to happen, but you don't consciously know what's supposed to happen yet. And the reason we know this for sure is because there's a right wrong sorting and there's a fit not fit feeling that you get. So somebody tells you to solve it this way and that way and that way and that way. And every single time you hear a suggestion, you're like, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. There is a version of the story intuitively in your head somewhere. And part of what we're doing is uncovering the version that is there. When you are wired this way, where you get stuck because of clarity and you need to uncover, you might need to research, you might need to ask questions, you might need to get ideas. There are all kinds of things that you can do. But when clarity is the reason, you have to get stuck. It's a feature, not a bug. The getting stuck is because you write what you know, and that is the part that you've uncovered from your subconscious. Then you have to uncover a new part from your subconscious and uncover a new part. And there is no other process besides write till you're stuck, get unstuck, write till you're stuck, get unstuck. So when this is the reason that you're stuck, it is so important to understand it is a feature, not a bug. If you can develop a stuck list about this, and this is what I talk about in the book and what we talk about in the cards, is to make a list of the ways that you have gotten unstuck in the past, and you can keep it literally right next to your computer. The reason I liked the deck so much and the reason we made the deck is because I can physically have something beside me where I could not, I mean, shuffle it, yes, but like I could just grab a card and then think, okay, is this the reason? Okay, is this the reason? And it's more like giving myself ideas consistently, but you don't have to have the deck. You don't have to have anything printed. As long as you will remember, I'm stuck. Not a problem. I'm not broken. I'm not weird. I'm not bad or wrong. I'm just stuck. It's fine. Here's how I get unstuck. And then you have agency in that moment. What tends to happen for a lot of writers is they go trying to solve the systemic problem. How do I never get stuck again? Let me read another plotting book. Let me try to figure out another way to outline. Let me use tropes. Let me do structure. Let me whatever. But when you are not a person who writes what you outline, no amount of plotting is going to fix the total problem. Add to that, some of you who get stuck in this way consistently, you plot and then write part of it, but then don't write beyond that because there were things you couldn't have known when you were plotting originally because you discovered them as you wrote. And then you have to plot the next section and then you write that and then you have to plot the next section. So some of you do actually plot in sort of phases in that way. Some of you write completely into the dark and discovery draft totally. Some of you outline, write half of it, and then discovery draft after that. There's so many different archetypes of story creation, and not everyone is going to be the same. So it's important to understand that anyone can get clarity stuck. It is not a bad thing. And if you have a thing to reach for that will help you figure out what is it, what's the thing that's supposed to happen, then you can help yourself get unstuck. If you are consistently having clarity issues, then accepting and acting is the goal. So that's the first one. Number two is emotions. And this might be emotions of other people, because if I'm extremely data responsive, if I have a lot of relationship building strengths in the Clifton strengths, if I am very emotive, if I'm an HSP, right, there's all these things that could cause emotions to be a factor in my writing. Not the least of which is the character emotions might be a factor. So some people are going to get stuck because the characters are feeling feelings and they don't want to be in the middle of those feelings. It's the black moment, it's a tension point. Somebody's been betrayed or whatever, and they don't want to have to go in and sit inside that. So they resist writing because of the emotions. You can also resist writing because the emotions that are coming at you from other people are too big, are things that are difficult to wade through, are hard to shut off. And then you end up not being able to write because other people's emotions are clouding you and you can't compartmentalize as well as some other people can. Again, feature, not a bug. We need empathetic people in the world. We need people who care about what happens to other people in order for the world to go around. We need that. So feature, not a bug. How we have to learn to deal with it when we're writers is we have to protect our emotions. We have to be careful about who's around us. So that's one side, right? Like, don't reach for your phone first thing in the morning. Don't go on the internet first thing. Don't watch the news first thing. You can watch it later if you want to. But then the other part, if it is the character's emotions, is you really have to be brave in those spaces. You have to know it's going to be okay. This is what's stalling me. Unconsciously, I don't want to enter those negative spaces, but it's okay. We're going to get the characters out of it. We're going to have a positive ending, or it's going to resolve and it's going to be all right. But you just remind yourself of that, and then it becomes easier to enter into the manuscript. So emotions on many levels, and again, there's more information in the book if you want it, but emotions on many levels are the second cause of stuck. Number three is the environment that you're in. It might be your actual physical environment. It's not inspiring enough. It's too distracting. You're not settled yet. You don't have stability. There are many of us who need that. So that is a possibility. But additionally, some of us need to be in specific environments when we write. I'm a major sense of place writer, and it means that I often have to go somewhere in order to be connected enough to the sense of place to be able to write whatever it is that I'm going to write. It's harder for me since I left Montana to write the Vanjie books because I'm just not as connected to that place anymore. I'm not there. So what do I want to write about? Minnesota. Shocker. That's where I live. But if I know this about myself, if I know I'm an environmental person and I'm struggling, then I want to try to find a space that is the most conducive for me to write what I need to write. And sometimes I may need to go back to that place. I may need to travel. I may have to go back there in my mind. If I'm trying to write Vanjie, I might watch A River Runs Through It and see if I can get inspired enough about Montana. I might watch Yellowstone, right? So there are ways for me to get around this if I can't necessarily travel. But from an environmental perspective, many of us need to be in certain environments in order to write. But also, if you need to be in an inspiring environment in order to write, or a quiet environment, or if you used to be in a different environment and it had some kind of positive or beneficial thing for you that this one doesn't have. For some people, it is as simple as what do your windows face? For some people, it is my door closed or not? So there's so many potential options you could ask about environment, but that's one of the major things that changes our ability to write and can possibly make us stuck. I've seen people get stuck in projects for years because of an environmental issue. So don't not ask that question. Put it on your stuck list if you're a person who's very affected by your environment. Number 4 is progress. So when you are not making progress that is fast enough, or when you are not able to move past a block, or when there is a life situation pause that has caused you to slow down, or the frustration of not being able to see the path forward, etc. There is often a sense of momentum in a lot of our writing. And when we can't make progress forward consistently, especially if we're having some clarity blocks, right? The longer the clarity block happens, the more likely I am to get frustrated because I'm not moving forward. And then no amount of me understanding is going to help the fact that I've lost my momentum. So for some of us, it is actually the fact that we're not writing consistently enough. I just did a coaching session with somebody yesterday who hasn't written in 2 years, and you could see the physical fear in them that they were not going to be able to remember how to do it. And I asked, have you started writing yet? And they said, no, I'm afraid it won't come back. And we had to kind of have that conversation about like, is this a reasonable thing to be afraid of? Is it worth not trying to write on the off chance that it won't come back? It'll come back. But is it worth it? No. But we often get stalled because we're either not writing fast enough, we have a pressure, we have some kind of deadline, we wish that we could write faster, we see other people writing faster, so we compare our progress to their progress. And so often, what we need is to do small sets of progress. We need to move forward a little bit rather than having these really high expectations about, I have to do 2,000 words every single day. Sometimes thinking is progress, sometimes input is progress. We'll talk about that in a second. But many of us will stop when we can't get word counts as consistently as we want them to. And then that lack of acceptance about the way that our brain is working on its own causes us to be stalled. So practicing acceptance is really huge in managing your stuck. The fifth reason we're often stuck is competence. And by this, I don't necessarily mean I'm a bad writer. It might be I don't understand how to do this thing that I need to do. I've never done this type of transition before. I've never done 5 POVs before. I've never done, so I may need to go learn how to do that. I may need to consume some examples of how that's done. I may need to take a course on it. I may need some kind of input. If I am a person who takes inspiration from my environment around me, I may need to go to a museum, or I may need to read a book or watch a documentary. There are so many options for increasing my competence or my knowledge of where I'm at. And some of it is craft, right? Like progressing because I am not up to the task yet. So I need to go and learn something, or potentially progressing because there's information or inspiration that I still need to find. And in this fifth one in particular, this competence one, which is the resource in the card deck. I gave a whole bunch of examples of things that you could try doing as ways to increase that feeling of competence, that feeling of having resources at your fingertips. The downside is some of us feel incompetent whether we're competent or not. So the more consistently you're stopping, if every single time you go to write, you're stopping because you feel incompetent, I need you to start writing rather than trying to take another class because we need to learn by doing. And I think the downside with most writers is that what we think is if I learn it, I will do it, right? Because I took a class and therefore if I took the information in that I will do it. But if you learn something but don't practice it, you don't know it, you know of it. Those two things are very different. So I need you to get into the habit of executing on behalf of what you learn as a way of trying to build your competence if you're this type of person. And that means you've got to write more novels. You can't just wait all the time for a novel to make you feel competent before you do it. You need to sometimes show yourself that you're competent or gain more competence by doing the thing, right? We can't always just stop and wait and hope that it will happen. We often have to be brave and execute and make forward motion. So sometimes that competence works against us, that competence need works against us. And we need to stop learning and start writing. So if you're that person, you're going to get stuck consistently not writing because you're always going to feel incompetent to the task. But that doesn't mean you are incompetent to the task. It just means you feel that way. Those two things are not the same. And finally, number 6, and again, these are just the top. They are not exhaustive, but these are the most common 6 reasons is boredom. And when you are bored or you need something new and different, you need a surprise. So the 6th arcana of the deck, of the Stuckness deck, was surprise. And I gave people a whole bunch of different options of how to surprise themselves, including, this is one of my favorites. I'll just show it to you. This writer's block deck that's actually shaped like a block. It's by Jason Rekulak. And it has like 500 different pages of things that you can surprise yourself with. This is one of my favorite things to keep right next to my desk because I get bored stuck a fair amount and I need to try new things and I need to surprise myself. But if you're the kind of person who gets bored, you probably need to have ways to surprise yourself. And that might mean talking to someone else. It might mean the writer's block book. It might mean the 3 a.m. epiphany book. It might mean all kinds of potential things to help yourself get unstuck. But when you are stuck because you're bored, again, it's a feature, not a bug. We need people who are so creative that they get bored by the mundane things. It doesn't mean you can't finish books. It means it's going to be painful sometimes to finish, but you can continue to surprise yourself and allow yourself to do the unexpected things and then get yourself unstuck more quickly. So hopefully that overview has helped you. It is an extremely big picture overview, but there's more information in the book and there's more suggestions in the book. And if you want that, it's part of the Stuckness deck offer that we have on the Patreon now, where we're giving you the digital deck. I mean, you have to pay for it, but we're giving you the digital deck. So if you purchase that, then you have this ability to sort of print your own cards. If you decide not to purchase it, you can make your own stuck list. You can make your own deck if you want to. You don't have to wait for me to do it. But my goal in telling people about this is to remind us that these problems are solvable and they are patterned. They happen consistently to us. So if we can look back at the things that have gotten us unstuck in the past and try to increase our agency in moving through the books, the way that some of us stop and have this like existential dread about being stuck as though it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. Being stuck happens to almost every single author. And I'm convinced that people who say they never get stuck are lying. But if they aren't, great for them. That's amazing. But the majority of authors, the vast, vast, vast majority of authors get stuck. And a lot of authors get stuck, especially successful authors get stuck regularly because they care about the way that things progress. So if you're that type of person, there's nothing wrong with you. having a stuck list of some kind or a tool that you can quickly reach for to get you out of that space is going to be a productivity hack for you. It's going to make you much, much faster. So, the last thing I'll say about this is that many of us know exactly how to get unstuck. We don't want to do it though. Many of us know that in order to get unstuck, we have to go back and reread the first half of the book, or we have to call a friend and ask them to help us with this, or we need to book a coaching session with Susan and try to ideate our way out of it, or with Terry and try to ideate our way out of it, or we need to talk to our developmental editor, or we need to research, or we need to take a break. We know exactly what we need to do and we don't want to do it because it feels, quote unquote, it feels unproductive to us. So if you're that person and you are stuck currently and you know exactly what you need to do, hello, stop going on your phone first thing in the morning. I'm just going to say it for a huge percentage of us. If you are that person, do the thing. Stop resisting it. Do the thing. It might make you feel unproductive for a second, but it's going to make you be so much faster back into the process if you'll just allow yourself to do the thing you need to do. Okay, we're going to jump back into other things. I wanted to do a quick shout out to the Stuck list because we now have it available on the Patreon, but also you can make your own. You don't need me. So I hope you will go and take action. Everybody right now together, open the manuscript, close whatever else you're doing. Ask yourself, can I write the next sentence? And let's make some progress together on the manuscript. All right, I'll see everybody next time on the Quitcast. Bye, everyone.